I think we are live. Let me see if I'm showing up here yet. How you all guys doing? We are live. We have an awesome show tonight for you. We're going to be talking about a secret phrase versus a seed phrase. Do you know the difference? Let me know in the comments what the actual difference is between those. I was just talking to Jesse from Liquid Loans, and we're going to dive into that because this is a topic that somebody who's paying attention to crypto every single day doesn't know about. And if I don't know about it and I'm paying attention to crypto every day, I'm sure there's a boatload of other people who don't know about it as well. So without further ado, let's bring in the man himself. Jesse, what is good, brother? Great to see you. I appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight. I know you're busy, and I always enjoy our conversations.
Yeah, it's always exciting. I love crypto, and I like telling other people about crypto, right? So I don't know how long today's going to last, right? I just want to talk through a couple wallet security things, so the community can get a little bit better in regards to their security. So what you have out there is, everyone knows what a seed phrase is. It's typically 12 words or 24 words, and those are your key to get into your wallets. When you use your seed phrase, and there's a few ways you can use a seed phrase, right?
Well, yes. Can you explain those? Like, what are the different ways you can use a seed phrase? Can you talk about that?
Okay, so a seed phrase is just a mnemonic phrase. It's just words. That's your ticket, your key to unlock your wallets. That's all it is. Okay, so you have a number of interfaces that you could just put your seed phrase directly into a software wallet, or like a mobile wallet, which is not always advisable. I mean, if you're just playing around with small amounts of fun, that might be an idea for you. So you could do stuff on the run, or, if you're out and about or whatever you're doing, you can have stuff to play with. But for like large amounts of funds, that's not how you would want to store things. To take your seed phrase and to put it into something like Trust Wallet, for example, you're typing or you're inputting your seed phrase into a mobile device that's connected to the internet. It's in an app. You don't necessarily know the code behind that app or what that app's looking at, or is the NSA looking at your what you're doing and stuff. So because you just injected your key into an electronic device that's connected to the internet, there's always that looming risk of, well, wait a minute, what if there was some sort of hack or something and my key was taken? Right.
Question on this before we get into the secret portion, the secret phrase portion of it. So,
right, so we'll get to the secret portion, but yeah, go ahead.
Question on this. So I don't have barely any money in crypto, to just be frank with everybody. And I'm going to be ramping this up. I've got several things going on, so I will be ramping up through the tail half of the year here. But it's just so easy to use MetaMask, right? And then I'm like, I have a separate device that I use for crypto, and the only time I ever use the device is when I need to do transactions. Like, all the research is done in this computer. So how do you feel about using that separate device to enter in between different MetaMasks, given that the only thing I use the computer for, I did a hard reset, cleaned it completely, reloaded Linux on it, so it's got nothing on it at all, and the only thing I'm using it for is crypto when I do transactions? How do you feel about switching MetaMasks by typing it in on that computer? I know there's risk there, but I'm not using it for anything. And basically, I just want the confirmation. But no, in reality, I don't want the confirmation. I want the honest opinion and thoughts on this.
It's good until it's not. Okay, so let's say I'm a bad guy. I'm hanging out at your house, and I have my thumb drive in my pocket that has an instance of, like, it's a bootable thumb drive. And all I do is I find your laptop, I turn it off, I turn it back on. I hit either F12 or F2 while I boot it up, puts me into the boot menu. And I literally boot an instance of Windows from my thumb drive. And on that thumb drive, I have something that'll actually scan through and tell me what your password is. Now I go in and I inject a keylogger into your computer. And then I reboot your computer, put my thumb drive back in my pocket. The whole process took less than 5 minutes. You were in the bathroom while I did it. And I go about my life. Okay? And a week later, you go to log into your crypto and you wonder where all your crypto is and why it's gone. And it's because I had put a keylogger into your computer and you had decided you wanted to type your seed phrase or whatever it was, right? These keyloggers can take pictures of what you're doing at intervals of my choice and then email those to me surreptitiously. Like you don't even know. It's sending me those pictures of what you're doing. They can log every single keystroke that you're ever doing. They do a number of things, right? And in some cases, give me access. So when you're connected to the internet, I can just control what's going on in your computer. So because you put your seed phrase into a device that is relatively easily hackable, you put yourself at risk. So you have it's one thing if you put your seed phrase into Trust Wallet or MetaMask on a mobile phone and you just have a few $1,000 or if you're a multimillionaire and you're okay keeping 50K or 100K worth of crypto on a mobile MetaMask because you like to be out and about and you like to play around and stuff, okay, that's a choice you have to make. But for your biggest amount of assets, you would never want to keep that stuff in a mobile MetaMask or Trust Wallet or in a computer where you type the seed phrase into a browser extension. It's just not good security practice.
Okay, thank you. So I have 2 questions on that. You said I'm going to ask you this question and shut that door because I just heard somebody get home. But what is a Windows instance? I was figuring out how to load Linux after I reset that computer, and I saw the phrase Windows instance, or I read it somewhere in a video.
Oh, I was talking about like Windows. Like, so if you have Microsoft Windows.
Talk for a second. I'm just going to shut that door.
Yeah, regardless of your operating system, whether you have Windows or Linux or Mac or whatever, it's irregardless. You typed your seed phrase, and it's now inside of that device that has risks. Listen, you remember seeing all those films about how the NSA just started spying on people after 9/11?
Yes.
They have access to your stuff, man. But they're not the only people who have access to your stuff. There's other governments that have access to your stuff. There's constant hackers that have access to your things. When you have a computer and you have, like down at the bottom, like you see those notifications, maybe you have virus protection, McAfee or whatever it is, okay? Open that thing up and look at how many viruses and malware and spyware and all that it's constantly blocking. It's literally like thousands of things a day. All it takes is one of those things to slip past your security, like your computer security. And it could be a thing that's literally designed to keylog you or get into your MetaMask or screw something up. Like, you're putting yourself at severe risk if you have wealth and you're storing your seed phrase, typing your seed phrase into a computer or into a mobile device. It's just risky.
Okay.
It costs. Listen, it only costs a couple of $80 to $300 to get a good hardware wallet.
Correct. Okay, so now question, hardware wallet. So if I have MetaMask, do you have to connect the hardware wallet to the internet to be able to import your seed phrase to a hardware wallet?
Okay, so let me explain how a hardware wallet works.
I told you guys this was going to be a good conversation. Somebody who's not very deep into this stuff. We're going to get into the secret.
Some people listen. Some people in the chat, like Mango Junkie, Belia Brand. Listen, these guys, they have hardware wallets.
Oh, everybody here has a one, but this is more so
except for you,
except for me, and there's going to be people who watch this who also don't.
Right. So we're going to get to the part. We're going to go down the rabbit hole past hardware wallets, where hardware wallets become even more secure than they already are, to becoming like hidden. And that's the really cool stuff. Okay, so here's what a hardware wallet does. A hardware device will generate the seed phrase on the little thing, and that seed phrase never gets injected into your computer, never gets injected into your mobile device or anything like that. Your seed phrase, your key to allow any functions, any swap.
So just get a wallet. You're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was reading this comment.
Like your key to do anything on the blockchain, on the wallets that are associated with that seed phrase, is literally your hardware device. You have to approve every single transaction on this little thumb drive looking thing that's completely segregated from your computer. Now, you still use your computer MetaMask as the interface so you can see what's going on. But the point is, you've just segregated your seed phrase from ever having to go in that device. And every approval now has to be done on this little thing. So it's a cold wallet. Is
there a way to load the seed phrase onto a hardware wallet without connecting it to the internet?
Yes, it generates its own seed phrase inside of it. Say
I have a MetaMask and I've got 12 words and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get a hardware wallet, and instead of having this, the way I have been doing it, I'm gonna use this seed phrase and I'm gonna put it onto this hardware wallet as an import.
Okay, so that's called a migration.
Okay, so is there any way to migrate without connecting to the internet and migrate it to the hardware device?
Yeah, you can, but there's only a couple reasons why you would want to do that. Because that can only save you from the future. It can't save you from compromises in the past. So if all you have is liquid assets, if all you have is Bitcoin or liquid hex or whatever, like you wouldn't want to do that. You would want to use your hardware device, generate a brand new seed phrase. That seed phrase will have its own wallets underneath of it, its own addresses that you can send and receive to. And you would then go on your MetaMask on your computer and send your funds from your MetaMask on your computer to the wallets associated with that seed phrase.
And that's a way better idea than what I was just describing to start with.
Yes, because alternatively, like, let's say your hardware, if you did migrate a seed phrase into a hardware wallet, and that wallet is now worth millions of dollars, you're not going to be able to sleep at night. You will not be able to sleep, I'm telling you, because you're going to wake up in the middle of the night and I wonder if that was ever compromised at one point. Because that seed phrase was still typed on a computer way back a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. And all you did was like put it into a hardware device. But at one point, it was still on a possibly compromised machine. It wasn't cold generated.
That's how I feel.
It wasn't generated offline. It was generated on the computer,
Hello, Sandy. What's good? Rusty. Yes. Mango. What's good? Monica and Elliot and Bullish. When you're describing this, it is reminding me how thankful I was that when I was 18, 19, 20, in my early 20s, and I was running around, the cameras were not what they are today. Because then it would be the case where I'd be like, damn, at some point in my future, when I'm in the middle of fucking doing something important, there's going to be some really bad evidence that comes forth, me doing something really stupid when I was drunk or out partying or just doing sending pictures that I should have been sending, back in the day. So I'm so thankful that phones were not like they are today. And I do relate to that because I've literally had that thought cross my mind and told my girlfriend, be like, hey, babe, it's perfectly possible that at some point in the future, as I continue to gain more attention online, because I've had people come up to me in person, like real life, and be like, hey, I've seen your videos, right? And stuff like that. So I was like, it's perfectly possible in the future, like somebody could come up and say something and be like, hey, check this out, because of all the stuff that I did in the past. So when you're like, hey, did I compromise my seed phrase that one time? Yeah, it's definitely something that I can relate to by you putting it that way. That was like how I related it to it. So thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so not a good idea. Get your shit on MetaMask, how it is, and send it to a different wallet. Boom.
Yeah,
got it.
There's an exception to that, and that's if you have like stakes that you can't end, right? And then you're like, well, what do I do? Well, then you get a hardware device, and you migrate the seed, and you still get the seed off of the computer or whatever. But now your stuff is stored on a hardware device, which will protect you from future compromises, right? So that would be like an exception.
Okay.
But if all your stuff is liquid, just send to the hardware device's address.
Okay. That's helpful for me because that's what my thought process was. I was like, yeah, probably in June I'll order one, maybe July I'll order one. Whenever I've got several other pieces of things going on. So as soon when I'm ready to like start, acquiring a lot more crypto than I currently have, then I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna start getting these, and I'm sure I will tweet about it and let everybody know that I finally got a hardware wallet. But you had mentioned at the beginning before we got on something about a secret.
Yeah. So let me start to get into that. So Monica says she wants you to get a treasure hardware wallet, and she wants to unbox with you and go through the same process.
Monica, I will order one, and somebody said it takes a couple weeks, so I will add that to my list of things to do. I will order one, and when it comes in, I will live stream and I will set it up with you if you want to do that. That'd be fantastic. Let me order this. That's my list of things to do. Because I need to be able to create content around shit. Otherwise, sometimes I don't always do it. It's because it's like I like grow my business or I like create content. Grow my business or create content back and forth. But you were saying she mentions to get a wallet.
She also says, I've been wrenched. Yay, wrench party. Well, here's the thing. There's actually a way to prevent wrench. Like, you can get wrench attacked and still keep all your money.
What can so
if you do it right.
Can you talk about this to somebody who has no idea what she's talking about?
What is a wrench attack?
Okay, gotcha. So that's basically somebody breaking into your house and just beating the shit out of you.
Yeah, putting a wrench to your head or a gun to your head and saying, "Open up your hardware wallet."
Gotcha. I thought that was
give me all your crypto. Right? What's your PIN number to your ledger or your treasure? Okay. If you don't give it to me, I'm going to beat you with this wrench. That's a wrench attack. Getting beat up for your crypto. So the biggest risk in crypto is you losing your seed phrase or you giving it up or somebody finding it. Okay? Somebody comes in your house, okay, or you like literally losing it. That's a real thing, right? People's houses burn down. And their seed phrase was on a piece of paper in there. And their hardware wallet and their treasure, and then it's like, oh, my stuff's all gone. Those same people are really scared to store their seed phrase somewhere else because it's like, well, I could keep a copy of my seed phrase in my mom's house or something, right? But that's super risky. What happens if she gets broken into? Like it's like you don't really want your seed phrase.
I'm not paying attention to the chat anymore, Mango. I'm making this full screen, so anybody who's leaving a chat in there, it will say in there, and in several minutes, maybe I'll take a break and take a look at them, but I'm going to be paying attention to Jesse in this conversation. So if you're leaving a comment, I appreciate you, but I'm paying attention to Jesse. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you better pay attention because you're going to lose all your money, and I'm going to say I told you so.
Yes, you can point me at the video.
So, okay, if you have a choice between ledger and treasure, every single time I'm going to tell you, you need to get a treasure.
Why?
Treasure is a little more user-friendly. It connects easier without some extra nonsense. You have to go into the settings of the device. Like it connects very simply into MetaMask very easily, so you can interact. It's just user friendly. Okay. The Ledger Model T is the premier model. It's touchscreen. It's kind of cool. There are differences. Okay. I don't know why, but the Ledger the Ledger Model 1 generates a 24-word seed phrase. Ledger Model T, the more premier model, generates a 12-word seed phrase. Some people are under the belief that a 12-word seed phrase is less safe than a 24-word seed phrase, which mathematically is true, but practically it probably doesn't make a difference, right? We're talking about like trillions upon trillions of possibilities of like, what do they say? It's like more stars than people can count in the whole universe for combinations of like these wallets and stuff. So like 12, 24 probably doesn't make a big difference. But some people who are just really, really security conscious like to start a hardware wallet with a 24-word seed phrase. On a Treasure Model T, you have to, if you want to do that, you have to pull out a ledger, generate a 24-word seed phrase on a ledger, take those 24 words, and then put them into your treasure. Okay.
You said it's digital. You said it's the Model T for the ledger. It has a digital interface?
Yeah, it has a little digital interface to it.
With the digital interfaces, is that how you enter in the seed phrase?
Yes.
So I could technically do it if I got that specific model. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Oh, interesting. Okay. I was just putting that together because maybe I'll do that for the ones that have stakes on them.
Right.
Okay,
so Monica, you have a Nano, but now you have a Treasure T. What I ended up doing, I have a whole bunch of these things, by the way. I have a bunch of Nanos. I have a Model T, Model 1. I have a couple Model Ts. I've got wallets all over the place, right? But I always do like to use 24-word seed phrases for everything that I do. Just because there's more combinations, it's like, it just makes me feel safer, right? Than 12 words. But on a Treasure Model T, you have to generate your 24-word seed phrase on something else. So you would take your ledger, like clear it out, and then have it go through it like it's brand new, have it tell you 24 words, take those 24 words and put them into your Treasure Model T. Now you have a Treasure Model T that has 24 words like inside of it instead of 12 words. Not everyone has to do that. I'm just saying for those who would rather have 24 than 12, that's how you would do it. Now, once you have your Treasure Model T or your Model 1, whichever one you choose, when you plug this thing into your computer, you can go to MetaMask, and it's very simple. You click Connect Hardware Wallet, and bam, you have your wallets there. You've connected it. You put your PIN number in your hardware wallet, and now you see your wallets. Like normal. Here's the risk. If you lose your seed phrase, somebody can you still had to write it down and put it on a metal plate or whatever, right? Somebody could still take your seed phrase and just go manually put it into their phone, into Trust Wallet or MetaMask or whatever, and steal all your stuff. The risk is still your seed phrase. Your seed phrase is always the number one risk. You lose your seed phrase, your money's gone. You hear this all the time. But there's exceptions to that. Those exceptions are multi-sig and hidden wallets. So let me back up a little bit. You have a seed phrase that you would like to keep segregated from ever touching the internet, so you eliminate that risk. The risk of loss of your seed phrase is eliminated because you generated it on a hardware device or on one hardware device and then put it onto another hardware device. Like the case where you want 24 words on the Treasure Model T. Okay, so you just eliminated a bunch of risk. You use that device, you plug it into your computer, you put your PIN number on this device. Now you're in MetaMask. You click connect hardware wallet, and now you see all these wallets, and you can like put money. You can put crypto in there, and you can do whatever you want. But the number one risk of losing your seed phrase now becomes if somebody has your PIN number to your treasure, they can just steal all your money. So make that complex.
So the PIN, you need a PIN to access the treasure and a PIN.
Yeah, it's like an unlock. It's like an unlock screen. Just like your phone has an unlock screen, you have to put in a thing. Your treasure, when you plug this thing in and the screen turns on, like it's going to ask you for a PIN number that you've generated.
So
if somebody knows your PIN number, they can actually steal all your money, right? So keep that secure. The other risk is you have to store your seed phrase. Now, they'll send you a card. It's in the box, and you can write down your seed phrase on a piece of paper. So what's the risk there? The risk is somebody comes in your house, they rob your house, they find this piece of paper. There's a seed phrase.
It also gets wet, burns down, like the house floods. Like
exactly, house fire. You know,
that stuff happens. You have it in some place, and there's a water leak. Like I've had those happen in different apartments.
Right.
Or the apartment upstairs, right? Like or
a mouse gets cold and chews it up for bedding or something. Right? Anything
will do like deteriorates over time. Yes.
It's a piece of paper, right? I think it's got wax or something on it, but it's still a piece of paper. Not very safe to have like all your money. They could just go poof because of this piece of paper, and you can never access your money again because you don't remember your seed words.
So before you get into the secret wallet or the secret phrase thing, what are or is you don't even really consider the paper storage option or like physical storage option as much as the thing that you're about to talk about? Like, do you still personally, like, you don't have to obviously, but like, do you still keep paper copies of your seed phrases around, or do you and is there a good option to like, you don't really want to hire somebody to fucking etch shit on a piece of metal for you, and most people
that's a pain.
don't know how to do that. Yeah,
that's a pain. So you pay like $75 or something, and you get a crypto steel tube. You can get them right from Treasure's website, by the way. It's a little stainless steel tube that you assemble your seed phrases inside of it, and like you screw this thing shut, and like that's it, right? It's all stainless steel, it's metal, and it can survive a fire up to certain temperatures, and like it's waterproof, and no mouse is gonna eat it and stuff. And you can drill a hole in the wall somewhere and like hide this like in your house, whatever you need to do with this little tube. Now your seed phrase, isn't going anywhere. Like it's good to go. And if you needed to access your seed phrase, you unscrew this cap at the top, you slide this thing out, and you can like read your seed phrases that you've assembled on this stick thing in there. Okay, it's called a steel tube or a crypto steel, I think it's called. It's like $75. And you just get rid of the paper now, right? Okay, so it's really cool, okay? And you don't have to screw around with washers and stamping, words on the washers and doing bolts and stuff like that. So that's a crypto steel cassette. Go back to the.
Okay. So it's not.
Keep going down. Go back one. You're on like
home and
scroll down.
Pack.
There they are. Look at those things. Click on one of those.
Capsule. Oh, and it has some weird.
It's like little washers already, kind of. Like you just slide these things on there and you assemble your words. And then at the top, you can lock it so those they don't fall off.
There. Oh,
right? Because it would suck if you took that out and all these little things just fell on the floor and you had no idea what your words were. Right? So
So this is the best option that people have come up with, or one of the better options that is aware in the marketplace of a solution to have it that is not paper, to have something that is more resistant to mold and bugs and water and fire. Having something like steel, stainless steel, that hopefully the idea is it's going to last better or be better preserved over, say, 10, 20, 30 years if that was the case, right? That's the best solution available. Okay.
So here's the risk. Even if you do that, right? So now you just eliminated a bunch of risks, okay? But the risk still is, if I'm a bad guy and I come over to your house and I find that little capsule, I'm like, ooh, sweet, look at the seed phrase here. And I just open it up and write your words down. Or I walk off with that steel tube and I have your seed phrase. Okay, so the risk still is, if your seed phrase is compromised, you're still screwed. There's only two ways to prevent being screwed with the loss of a seed phrase. One of them is to do multi-sig through Gnosis Safe, and we're not going to talk about that today. That's like a future lesson. It's actually really cool, and it is
cool.
The way of the future.
So you guys heard it here first. Jesse's going to be back on the show in the future, and we're going to talk all about Gnosis Safe and multi-sig.
Right, because actually, Liquid Loans, we're releasing a Gnosis Safe to the public wherever you can use it.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm going to have to come on and explain how it works, right? So people
yes.
can use it.
Okay, and the other option is the secret.
The other option is a feature of the ledger, or excuse me, of the treasure, is these things called hidden wallets. And it's so simple. It is so simple. When you plug this treasure in, you put your PIN number in, right? You can go to the wallets that are associated with that seed phrase, and it's like account 1, account 2 or 3. Okay, your normal accounts are there. But it gives you an option to type something. It says you want to access a hidden wallet. And you can type whatever you want in there. Okay? You can type the neighbor's dog won't stop barking. Okay? And you can capitalize the T, the N. You can put a period,
but something that you're going to be able to store here.
Something you're going to be able to remember. Okay? If you type that in there, okay, it will take you to a set of wallets that you can only ever access if you typed that very thing. Now, there's no setup process. There's no setup process to do this with a ledger, with a treasure. It simply asks you, do you want to access the hidden wallets? And you say, yes, I want to access, you just type your hidden wallet.
But then you're exposing yourself to that risk again of the keyboard.
No. Because what of typing something on a computer? The risk of typing something on a computer?
Yeah, because that's what you were just telling me about the seed phrase.
Okay.
Seed phrase versus you're just typing in a password, same thing.
Okay, so let's go through an example. So you have your seed phrase, which is segregated from the internet, and let's say I have a Treasure Model T, and I keep a little bit of dust inside of my regular wallet that seed phrase has, okay, as an example. But when I plug this thing in, I go to the little thing that says hidden wallet, and I type in, let's just pretend my secret phrase is Dr. Pepper. And I know that I'm going to use a capital D and a capital P. Punctuation matters. If you do the wrong punctuation, it'll take you to a different set of wallets. Okay, so I type Dr. Pepper with a capital D and a capital P. It will take me to those wallets, and now I can interact inside those wallets. When I'm done, I disconnect my treasure. Okay, guess what? Let me tell you how secure this is. It's actually amazing, right? Sam, I could give you my seed phrase, or I could give you my treasure, with my PIN number, say, here you go. Here's both my seed phrase and my treasure and PIN number. Try and get my money. Okay.
And you just have like nothing in there because the other wallets are hidden.
You would go in and you would be like, what's your oh, I see a little bit of dust in here. And you could ask me, do you have any hidden wallets? And I'd say, sure. Go to the one Coca-Cola. Okay, so you type Coca-Cola, nothing in there. And I say, okay, type big trucks, nothing in there. Type railroad crossing, nothing in there. Type airplane, nothing in there. I could tell you anything in the entire dictionary. I could give you a phrase, I can give you a word, and they're all empty. And unless you typed Dr. Pepper with a capital D and a capital P, if you happen to type that, then bam. Oh, what are all these wallets with all this stuff in there? Okay. But maybe there's other wallets that I also have stuff in. Okay. Maybe Crypto Talk is another wallet. So if you type Crypto Talk, bam, it pulls up other wallets with stuff in it. Literally, they're hidden, and the only way to access them is to type the words that only you know.
Okay, question here, because this is freaking awesome. So I'm actually super glad everybody's giving me a hard time because I don't own a hardware wallet, and I'm super glad that I haven't purchased one yet and set anything up, because now after this conversation with Jesse, I'm going to get one and set up the hidden wallet, because I completely see how valuable this is. This is awesome. This is crazy. So,
let me be clear. Do not forget your phrase. And punctuation matters. If you forget those words, you will never, ever be able to access those funds inside of that portion ever again. Now, here's where it gets really cool, right? So your house, okay. Somebody could break in your house and find your seed phrase. As long as you have a backup somewhere else so that you remember it, it doesn't matter. Because they'll take that seed phrase, they'll put it into MetaMask, and they'll see, oh, there's a little dust in here. Oh, this guy was broke. He didn't have any money. Okay? But you're like, ooh, I'm glad he didn't have my secret words, my hidden wallet passphrases. You know, because you kept those separate from your seed phrase, or maybe in your head. Now, there are tricks you could do. There's imagine if you need a dead man switch.
So give us context. Well, give me context. Hopefully, it's valuable to other people. What is a dead man switch?
When you die, something happens that allows other people to access your wallet. So let me give an example. So let's say you have your seed phrase, right? You keep that secure and safe, and you give that your girlfriend or your wife, right? She knows how to access that, but she doesn't necessarily know all of your hidden passphrases, because maybe you don't want her to know all of them, or you don't want the risk associated with her writing that down or whatever, right? But she does have access to the seed phrase. And maybe there's a little bit in there. Maybe you have kids, okay? And each of your kids have their own hidden passphrase. So if they knew what those passphrases were, if they all had access to the seed phrase, which sounds scary, right? But imagine if they all had access to the same seed phrase, but only each of those people knew, oh, I typed this phrase thing in and it brings me to my money. You can actually, as a business or as a company, operate under one seed phrase.
Wow, that's awesome.
With different departments using their own passphrases for their funds, right? There's so many things you could do with this.
Jesse, this is awesome. This is one of the things that I've been. Is there a solution for enterprise? Is there a commercial solution for crypto that could allow me to use crypto in a business setting that allows me to have other people have access to things right? Like, because I could create that password and just be like, Jesse, you're running this department, or you have access to this capital, and this is the password, and that's where the money is, and I know it, and you know it, and nobody else knows it. But I didn't know, but have 10 other people if I wanted to. With this solution, this opens up all sorts of doors. Plus, it also solves the problem, at least the initial reaction mentally for me is, it solves the problem of having 14 different ledgers or 14 different treasures or a combination of all these different hardware wallets. Because you could technically just have them all to one seed phrase and just use different passwords.
Yeah. You could, absolutely.
Right? Like, what's right? I mean,
find a big list of all your seed or passphrases that you've written down, and they have your seed phrase, and then it's like, then they drain you. Now, here's a dead man switch. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let's say you use something like LastPass, password manager, okay? And you put your passphrases in there, okay? And you have two-factor authentication so that you can always remember them. You store them digitally. You know that your seed phrases are stored physically. You have a copy somewhere at your house or whatever. Maybe you have a backup buried in your yard or at your mom's house or whatever. You know that even if somebody found that seed phrase, they can't access anything because they'd have to have the words, the secret words too. All right. But your words you could store digitally, which separates them from ever being near your physical seed phrase storage. Okay. And they're under two-factor authentication. They're just words. And if you need them, you can use your mobile device or whatever, and you can get your hidden wallet words. Now, you can actually set up LastPass so that if your significant other requests access, they will attempt to contact you for a predetermined amount of time that you've chosen through a number of means. And if you do not respond, say in 30 days, if that's how you set it up, they'll actually grant access, and they will give your passphrases or the contents of your LastPass password storage manager. They will give all the contents of that over to your significant other. So in the event of your death, the instructions you've given your significant other, listen, when I die, here's the phone number or email to LastPass. You already know where my seed phrase is. Here's the contact number for LastPass. Just reach out to them, and within 30 days or 60 days or whatever, they're going to give you the passphrases to get into the wallets. Okay? That would be the definition of something like a dead man switch.
That's cool, because you could also set it up so that there's a period of emotional trauma when somebody passes away. And it being in legacy finance for a long time, people sometimes make foolish decisions when they have some type of emotional trauma. And if you could set that up for 6 months, right, or something along those lines, or set up one at 30 days that has like enough so the person's completely fine to like live during the period of time, but the bulk of it could be like a 9-month thing away, so that way the emotional trauma has been able to heal to a certain extent, right? Because you have to take into consideration, we've been together for X number of years, I'm taking care of all this stuff, and I pass away. They're going to be upset. They're going to be emotional. There's plenty of people out there who try to take advantage of people like that. So setting it up in such a manner that it takes that amount of time for the stuff to get released gives that water, so to speak, from like a bombshell going off, time to settle, right? The waves go down and it becomes a much calmer lake in it from all the splashing in there. So that's super interesting. This LastPass thing is interesting. So you take all your passwords and you put them into there, and then
it's just a password manager. You can store passwords to websites and all sorts of stuff in there. You could set up an account that just has these random words in there. And they're protected under two-factor authentication.
No,
And
this is dope. This is great.
so okay. So what's the risk there? Okay, let's just pretend. Okay, so people are gonna always bring up go down the rabbit hole. Okay, your SIM swapped. They're gonna get your words, dude. We're talking about random words that you've created. Like your passphrase could be, it doesn't even have to be words. It could be symbols and characters, whatever you came up with.
Gibberish.
And even if somebody accessed these random words, they have nothing to do with crypto. Like these people would have no idea what they're even for. It doesn't even associate them with a website or anything. It's just a list of random ass words. Okay, that you know what they're for. You know that those are the words that I need to use in my treasure to access various wallets. Okay, but somebody who attacked and managed to get through and into your LastPass, which is not, I mean, they're very, very reputable, so that's not likely. Like they wouldn't even, like they can't get into your wallets with just these random words.
So you have
the risk. Like people who attack and break into your home and find your seed phrases also can't get into your wallet, your crypto, because all they have is a seed phrase, and there's nothing in those seed phrases because you also need the words, which are somewhere else.
Because you have the risk factor of the seed phrases, so you can mitigate that by having the hidden wallet to take care of the dementia problem, right? That's the first word that comes to mind of remembering these passwords. You can put those into something LastPass, and then you're like, oh well, what if LastPass gets compromised, right? Then those passwords get compromised. But because there's that separation, and literally your passwords could be like the first word could be a phrase where each five different words in your phrase. The first one's access to these type of accounts. The second one is this. So it's like my cat is blue, right? And then somebody opens this up and they see, why the fuck does this person have my cat is blue when my access is like your cash account, right? The next one is different. But obviously you'd probably use a more complex phrase. I love this. I am thankful that I did not get a treasure for any of my crypto. Listen to that, fuckers, who are all giving me a hard time. Because you don't need 16 different treasures or 16 different ledgers. Because I hear people all the time, and they're mentioning how they have so many of them. I think Rusty had mentioned, not that it's a bad thing, even Monica, and not that it's a bad thing, but what you're talking about can solve that problem. Like, it solves that problem, right? Or do you see another risk thing that I haven't?
Well, we can actually, we could demonstrate this on camera. We could literally set up a treasure, and then
I'll order mine.
Check this out. On camera, give out the seed, I'll just tell you the seed phrase on the camera and say, hey man, I'm gonna put 1 ETH in inside this hidden wallet, see if you can get to it. And there's nothing you can do, right? You would never be able to get to it. We don't even need to do that. It's just not possible. Like if you don't know my passphrase, you can't get into those sub wallets that are associated with that passphrase.
Yes. Okay. So I do like this, the segmenting of different wallets. I didn't personally care for having 15 different hardware wallets. It just doesn't seem like a convenient option for me. That's not how. It just doesn't seem like it would be something that I would really enjoy.
Yeah, the only reason people do multiple hardware wallets, because you have
no, it makes sense. It makes 100% sense. But because they probably were not aware of what you're talking about, or the grasp of the full context of what you covered so far has not been explained to me, right? And remember, I'm brand new, basically 90 days, but at the same time, I'm talking about crypto every day. I'm talking to people about crypto every day, and not one person has talked about it in the fashion that you have talked about it, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of people who are just not aware of the benefits from a risk reduction standpoint and convenience standpoint, because really, to me, that seems super convenient as well.
It's way convenient. It's way less risky. You can actually give access to other people. Like if you want your kids to have a wallet, like you don't even need to generate a new seed phrase for them if you don't want to. You already have a seed phrase. You just tell them, like you're out in town and your kid says, "Hey, can I have a crypto wallet?" And you're like, "Yeah, cool. What do you want your passphrase to be?" And they tell you, and you're like, "Cool. All right." When you get home, you have your wallet already, and you just like
this is awesome.
you go home and you just access that same wallet, copy the public address out of it, and send something into them. Right? It's so simple. It's so simple.
Okay. So this is only available with Treasure, not Ledger, correct?
Okay, so I think you could do it with Ledger, but like you only get like one hidden wallet or something, and it's really complex and stupid. Like don't even bother. Like, don't even.
Treasure's the way to go. Okay, in your opinion, what's like the top choice for the Treasure, given that, like, I guess longevity is not going to matter because you're going to probably switch the hardware wallet at some point because technology just dies over time, right? Because like I think of like these hardware wallets, and I'm like, cool hardware wallet, cool idea, right, and all that kind of stuff. But at some point, whether it's 6 months down the road or 16 years down the road, like my phone's not going to be working in 16 years.
Right.
This Treasure's not going to be working either with a high probability. So have people talked about that, or what do you like? You know what I mean? Or do you just keep your seed phrase when that hardware wallet dies, and be like, okay, cool, I got a new hardware wallet type of thing.
Well, like these treasures have been around for a handful of years already, and like they're not really changing.
But I'm sure that they do die.
They'll always come out with another model, and apparently, like these things are open source. So, like, even if the company went out of business, like you're always going to be able to get your hands on one. Somebody's going to keep making these treasures. So,
okay.
Will there be a later, like a better model 5 or 10 years from now? Sure. And if you want, you can just migrate your seed over to that one, and I'm sure it'll end up doing the same thing. You'll still have your hidden wallets and stuff. They're not going to go anywhere.
Is that a possibility? So I think you mentioned this earlier, but I'm just confirming for myself. When you do the migration on a Treasure, you can do a migration without ever touching the internet from one hardware wallet to another hardware wallet?
Correct.
And is there the possibility that future iterations of Treasure, or if it is open, that they close off the access point to hidden wallets?
No.
Why do you say that way? That wasn't a quick answer, so I don't have as much confidence in that as I do the last 50 minutes.
Could it happen? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's highly doubtful, but I don't know the answer to that.
Because that's a risk, right? That's a really good risk. Like they come out with new models. These new models don't have any way for you to access this hidden wallet, and at some point, whether it's 2 years down the road, 4 years down the road, 26 years down the road, your current version, 2022, is no longer operable because the plastic has fallen apart and the hardware has deteriorated to such a point that this thing fucking doesn't work anymore. So at that point, if future iterations don't allow you access to this hidden wallet, that could be a problem.
Yes.
Damn, fuck. I don't know if I want to do that anymore then.
Well, you have to, I mean, here's the thing. You can access these hidden wallets from MetaMask. You can access them from the Treasure interface.
So I can take the seed phrase and say, put this into, hypothetically, if I wanted to type it in, right? I could put this into a different wallet and different wallets allow me to access hidden wallets that I created on Treasure?
Jexa would be the one who would be able to better answer that than me.
Okay. I should pull this person up on Twitter.
By the way, for people who don't know, he's a member of the Liquid Loans team. His name is Jexa. Jeremy.
How do you spell?
Jeremy. Go to type in YouTube Jexa Hex Safe.
Okay. Jexa.
Jexxa Hex
Safe. Okay, gotcha.
Jexxa.
And then his. Let me share this.
There you go. Listen, let me tell you about Jexa. This guy educates people like in regards to crypto safety.
Dope. Just
Seed phrase storage, getting hacked, all sorts of things, right? And of course, he's part of Liquid Loans, so he has a bunch of Liquid Loans content too. But this guy knows all about hacking into these hardware wallets and like the longevity of these things and hidden passphrases and dead man switches and all sorts of stuff. Like this is what he like does for a living. So when you have really complex problems or questions or one that I don't know the answer to, like listen, I have no idea if the Treasure interface goes down or something and there's no button for you to type your hidden passphrase, what do you do next? I don't know. I guess I call Jexa and say, "Hey, where do I go?" And he probably tells me right where to go.
Hey, if you have access to him and you do ask him that question, even if it's in an email and you screenshot so no information, we post that and tag me with it because that would be like I love all the information you're saying right now. I'm like, this is one of the solutions that for me would solve problems that I've had mentally around these things. And then it's like, okay, well, if that's only accessible through Treasure, at some point Treasure will go away or iterate it potentially away. So is there a way for me to take those seed phrases, put them into, that's what this question is, take the seed phrases, put them into Ledger, and then access the hidden wallet through Ledgers?
Somebody just said the Exodus wallet. Thomas says that the Exodus wallet lets you access hidden wallets.
So, okay, there are, thank you, Thomas. There are software wallets like Exodus that support hidden Treasure wallet. Okay, so it looks like there's third parties that will allow this. If that's the case and they continue to support this, that's far more like comfortable for me to do this. Like, yeah.
Right, and we can always test that. Like, just download it, type in a random 12 words or whatever, and then find the button that says type hidden passphrase, and then just type a random, like.
So Monica, remember this for when the wallet comes in, so that we can test out what Thomas says, what Thomas Turner says here. So we can set it up live, and we can test out this hidden wallet thing live, and check out Exodus to see if that is possible, that we can access this through other wallets. Because to me, that's a pretty good risk in my mind mentally for me, because when you look at technology, right, like you're like, oh, I have this Nokia phone and I have all these things in there. And back in the day, like 2000 or something like that, to switch your phone numbers over, like it wasn't just so easy. You could port in, you plug it into this thing, you plug it into this, and you switch it over. It was like, okay, well, I don't know, there's 300 phone numbers in here. I'll probably just transfer over manually 150 of these numbers just because it's too cumbersome for me to transfer over the rest of these. Like I literally remember doing this, a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, around probably 2 decades ago, trying to do this. And I don't want Treasure to go away and the access point to be able to go away. So that would be, yeah, if that is possible, that would be dope. Torrid.
Let's just Google it.
Okay, yes. You pull it up. I'm going to read a couple of these comments. Torin, Hexa 5. Yeah, I don't believe Treasure does it in a proprietary way. That would be dope. Hidden wallets are part of a protocol. I can't remember the top of my head. Deal so long as it is safe. Yes, right, Monica. We'll do that. We'll do this and we'll test this out to see if we can still access the wallets there. Because if does MetaMask have an option where you can punch in a hidden password?
No, not unless you connect hardware wallet first.
Oh. Oh, you have to. So okay. I could just put in the 24 words and it would work that way. Jesse's going to take a look at this. I'm going to do a preview for tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, GRC, 11 a.m. EST, we're going to be going on and talking some cool crypto stuff with Jim Rat. Also, tomorrow night, so this is Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Thursday, 6:30 p.m. EST on my other channel. I'm going to try to share that when Jesse starts talking in a moment. But I have a fitness-related podcast. If you enjoy like this nuances that Jesse was sharing tonight around crypto, and you like these things, you find little nuggets of value, and you're like, damn, that whole 60 minutes was garbage, but that 3 minutes where Jesse was talking about this thing is new information, and you plant that shit here and you utilize that stuff. There is all these nuanced things in the fitness world, whether it is around compounds or drugs or peptides or steroids or hormones or different supplementation to go through and effectively biohack whatever it is you're trying to hack. Like you can even get a tan with a peptide, increase libido, drop body fat, like the list goes on and on and on. Anyways, the point of that is tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. EST, we're going to be talking about that live on my other channel. I'll be posting it on Twitter. So if you're watching this, look in the link below, go over to Twitter, press the follow button. When that comes, I'll post it to Twitter probably twice at some point, maybe tomorrow morning, and then at some point later on the day before going live. I will probably go live on this channel tomorrow as well to talk about some really cool stuff related to taxes and business. Jesse, the stuff for tomorrow is dope. Like, I'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll just give a little bit of a preview, but are you in the United States?
I am.
Okay, so do you own a property?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have solar on your property?
Do I what?
So do you have solar on your property?
No.
Okay, so I'm assuming you pay taxes, right? I would assume that most people follow the balance of the law and they pay taxes where appropriate, right? Okay.
Yep.
There is a program that expires in January of 2023 that allows you to put solar in your house, put batteries in your house. You could get a new roof. You could add HVAC. You could get a hot water tank. You do insulation. You could probably do some of your windows if you wanted to. Wrapped into a loan where you don't have to put any cash up front. And if it's for business purposes, it has even better like availability. That's the perspective I'm going to look at it. So if you put the title of your property inside of like an LLC, it may already be there, and then you just create a lease with yourself in the LLC. So now it's for business purposes, right? You can get 26% federal tax credit. So it's credit, not a write-off, which means that if you're a $100,000 system that you didn't put any cash up front for to replace your utility bill, you now have an increased price of your house because you have added to the value of the house. You're no longer paying your utility company. You're paying yourself by paying off your loan. And you get 26% of the total cost as a tax credit. So at $100,000, that's $26,000. You're like, okay, well, $26,000, but then my utility bill probably is going to increase if I do that myriad of different stuff that Sam mentioned, whether to the roof, the hot water tank, the HVAC, potentially windows, insulation, all that kind of stuff. But if it's for commercial purposes, you're actually able to write off, according to, I think it's the Jobs Act of 2017, you're able to write off the entire amount in year one, and you don't have to depreciate it. And legally you're allowed to double dip. 26%, you're able to add back half of your tax credit to the depreciable base that you can write off in year one. How stupid is that? We're going to cover all the details of that tomorrow, probably 4 or 4:30 EST live streaming on this channel. So set your notification. A little bit of a preview. It is really dope though, Jesse. Like, if you have taxes that you know you're gonna have to pay for this year, you have to have the contract signed and I think another form that shows like 5. You have to have those done, and basically you don't have to any cash out of your pocket to get this giant tax benefit, and you can also carry that forward if that's too much of a tax benefit for year one. So I don't know.
Yeah, you use a loan to do all this. No cash out of your pocket. You get a bunch of upgrades to your house or whatever. Cut your utility bill down, and you get some massive discounts because it's all going to come back to you in your tax credits.
That's fucking awesome. Okay, so what do you want to show something real quick? Your Twitter or Liquid Loans, or the next video that we do where we talk about the Genesis or Gnosis safe option that's going to be the version that you guys are coming out with?
I think we're actually going to talk before then, because Liquid Loans has some cool stuff coming out, like the SAC balances. Listen, Dave told me he thought Wednesday, so usually what that means is like a few days delay. Like that's how these things work, right? Oh, it's going to come out Wednesday. That's what like the top guys say, and then it's like Friday, right? So I think it's going to be this week. Everyone's going to have the SAC balances, and they can play around and see like that on a cool like interface. Shortly after that, everyone's going to get to play with the DApp on the testnet. From my perspective, I'd say that like that thing is done. But like we've got a whole team of people that we've got like Matt who builds videos and he shows people how to use these things, right? So there's a filming process for that. I think there may be some other films where somebody's going through and showing how the contracts interact with each other and stuff. Like, so there's like, when we release it, we want to release it all at once. So like, that's just around the corner after SAC balances. And then
what about testnet? What about testnet? Any
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's
I'm sorry. Okay.
That should be really soon, right after these SAC balances, which should be like in the next couple of days. There's also some really, really wild announcements that are coming in regards to some stuff going on Pulsechain that Crypto Crazy is going to end up like talking about here in about a week or so.
Do you want to give us a little
like
preview?
big things? Big.
It's at the end of the video. There's
things are happening on the Pulsechain.
Barely anybody's watching. You want to give us a little bit of a preview?
I can't, man.
I had to ask. Cool. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to.
There's a number of infrastructure things that the every blockchain needs, right? Whether that's like fiat off and on ramps, or you want to see Pulse on exchanges, or you need some sort of oracles and price calls. You need this or that. Like every good blockchain, like you need these things, and those things are hard work. And we have been hard at work, right? So there's going to be things.
Oh, this is going to be good summer. Okay, the last question, and don't feel the need to do it over several minutes, but if you want to share your answer over several minutes, I'm happy to hear it. PulseX or Pulse or Hex, which do you see, and obviously this is just conjecture, as reaching the next 10,000x first?
Okay, well,
it's conjecture. That's why I previewed it.
From where? From where?
From launch.
From
Pulse.
launch.
From launch of Pulse. So wherever Hex is at the launch of Pulse, 10,000x from there, PulseX or Pulse. Who do you see hitting 10,000x next first?
Well, if we're gonna go like compare. We're gonna have to be honest with each other. Launch to launch, like launch.
Oh no! That's separate. That's separate. We'll definitely do that. Like comparing.
I hope you understand what I'm saying. I don't want to cause flood, but Hex launched at 0.003.
No, correct. No, and I'm not saying.
Right. So how many
I'm not
how many
saying
X's
hex
are we
launch.
at? How many X's are we at before this? Hex had that giant dip, which allowed it to have a 10,000 X. So, like, if you look at if do we think we're gonna go from a launch price to a 10,000 X in the first couple years?
Maybe 36 months, maybe 24 months, maybe 48 months. We don't obviously know this is all just hypotheticals. Before you answer, I want to share one bit of information. If you haven't seen me share it before, I'm not going to pull up the charts, but you know what an adoption curve is, right? Like an S curve for adoption of any technology. Every technology follows this. We in crypto currently, according to the research report released by crypto.com back in January, the state of the nation for crypto, there's about 300 million users in crypto globally. That means that we're about 3.83% of global population that owns crypto. If you look at those adoption curves and you look at the standard textbook one, you look at it, it's like a bell curve. It's like innovators, early adopters, like late, early majority, late, blah, 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 right? And it just looks like a bell curve. And the first two standard deviations away from the center is 2.5%. And then the chart goes like this, right? Because you got the tail over here, right? It's kind of like this, right? The bell curve. And 2.5% is like right here before it starts to accelerate growth. If you believe crypto.com's research to be accurate, that we're around 3.83% of global population that owns some crypto. With that being said, there's plenty of people who own crypto, as in they own some Bitcoin and they have no idea about crypto. Like, there's plenty of those people. So at that point, I know, following any adoption curve, once it gets to that point where it's past a couple percentage point, acceleration happens. Because you have 300 million people. If that's accurate, they tell two of their friends, they tell a spouse and a friend, or whatever the case is, and two people, that turns from 300 million to 900 million by the end of 2022. What? Even if you cut that in half, it's 450 million people. So layering that on top of the question, Pulse, and Hex. At the launch of Pulse, where do we see the first one of those hitting another 10,000x? Not necessarily the time frame. I do think it's going to happen relatively fast, but it still could be 36 months, but that's relatively fast. Do you see Pulsex doing it first? Do you see Hex hitting another 10,000x? Do you see Pulse? Which one of those do you think will do it first?
I'd like to be realistic. We could lose some value initially. Pulsex could dump. Hex could dump. We don't know what's going to happen there, right? It's paired to USDC, which will be copied USDC. And if the liquidity providers don't get their stuff in order and USDC dumps, it's going to drag Hex down with it. And we all say, well, I'm going to buy it if it's cheap. Okay, but not before it dumps really hard because USDC is going down. So there's so many mechanisms at play here. And like Hex initially did a 98% dip or something, super duper low liquidity, like barely any money in there. You could have thrown $5,000 at it and it would have moved the price really, really hard. So it did a 10,000x from that lowest point, but it did launch at 0.003 and it's currently at 6 or 7 cents. So what does that even put us at? What's
0.003 you said?
Yeah,
say if we're at 7 cents divided by 0.003, that's a 23x.
Okay, so that's what we're at. That's where we're at from the launch. So, and if you compare that to ETH, by the way, in the same time period, it's maybe a 2x or something over what ETH did.
Even at 3 years in for ETH, I thought it was.
We'll just look at the launch date of Hex and then the current date, and then do the same math with ETH, right? What was ETH's price? What's ETH's price
At launch,
Today,
it's like 30 something cents, and then 3 years
divided
later.
by ETH's price on the launch day of Hex, and like it, do the same thing, and you'll see, oh, okay, it's like it did twice as good. All right, so like to be able to reach a 10,000x, normally, like in that short of a period of time, there has to be some drastic things that are happening. Like people have to be dumping and dumping and dumping first. The best opportunities to get into something are when things are super cheap. So Richard even says it all the time. I'm not saying that Pulse is going to dump, but I would suggest that if it dumps and it does anything similar to what Hex did, it does a 90-some% dump, as people are anxious to get some of their value back out because it's been a long time and like it's a bear market and people just want their money, right? There's going to be people that exit, are like the price could go down. We have to be prepared for that. If it does like a 98% dump or something crazy, you might want to have some dry powder available because that's where you're going to make all your money from. If you're the guy that buys it in a big giant dump, way down at the bottom, below the people's perceived stock values, you're going to be the guy that's walking away with tens of millions of dollars, because you bought that dip. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It could absolutely do what other blockchains do, where it just launches and it just goes up and it does a 250x in the first year, or in the first 90 days, or an 800x in the first 2 years or something. But we also have to be prepared for a dip.
Well, I'm sorry. I still want to get your answer on that. But if Hex launched at 0.03 zeros and a 3, right? If the peak was 56 cents, 56 cents divided by 0.003, that's only an 1800x.
Well, say that again?
So you had mentioned that Hex launched at 0.003, or was that the lowest point in Hex?
No, that was just like initially, hey, here's what you could buy it for.
Okay, so if it launched at 0.003 and the peak was 56 cents, if you take 56 cents divided by 0.0003, right? 3 zeros, I think I said 4, but 3 zeros. That's a 1866x.
Right, if you sold. Yeah.
So where does the 10,000 come from? Because I thought that was excluding from the bottom. So what was the lowest price in Hex?
It was like 0.000064, or maybe it was 59 or something.
Oh, like 4 or 5 zeros?
I think somebody said it may have wicked down to 5 something, but I thought it was like 0.000064, I believe.
Okay, that would make sense. Okay, got it. I was like, that makes sense. People have said that, and I never actually did the math. That's 8,700 at 0.0064, like 4 zeros and then a 64. But if maybe it went down to 5 something, and that would make perfect sense. So perfect. I appreciate that because I've never actually done the math. I assumed the accuracy of that, but it's from the trough point to the peak point of Hex.
And Richard will always say that too. He'll slip that caveat in there. He'll always throw out there from the bottom to the top. X did a 10,000x from the bottom, and then it'll be like bottom to the top.
Okay. to still be accurate, but like
it's kind of funny.
Okay. So Pulsex, Pulse or Hex. 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road. Which do you think hits that 10,000x first?
It's so hard because like I feel Pulsex is gonna dump, and if Pulsex dumps the same way that Hex dumped, because you got all these people that say
no, but to focus longer term.
From the launch price
because I agree. Pulsex, people are gonna dump because they over sacrificed for Pulsex. They're going to FOMO into Pulse. People are going to want to sell because they've had their money locked up for a year, right? So like in the interim, like the short, medium term, like 3 to 6 months, like there's going to be hell and like all sorts of crazy shit's going to happen. But 12, 14 months, 18 months, 2 years down the road, which do you think will hit that additional 10,000x if it's Hex, or Pulse or Pulsex? Which one do you think will come first?
if we're ever going to hit a 10,000x from any of them, it's going to be from Pulse.
Okay,
I feel. Unless we're talking about bottom to the top. If we're talking bottom to the top, then it could be Pulsex, because Pulsex might do a severe dump if you get thousands of people trying to swap out of it.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. No, you heard it here, guys. So we can
listen. I've got all of them.
Yeah.
You know where you can't go wrong?
No, I'm not trying to say, because people think when I ask this question that it's like,
and you're gonna get the average across all of them, and you're gonna be okay.
Correct. You're like, people think when I ask that question that like, oh, that means you think it's Pulsex and the other ones are gonna crash. No, that is not at all what I'm fucking saying. Use the functioning gray matter and just like understand that this is a conjecture question. I'm just curious to hear other people's opinions on this. I'm bullish on all of these things. I plan on owning a large amount of all of them. Completely agree with what you're saying. But sometimes when you talk about things and you ask
how would it make
that,
people feel? Listen, how would it make? Would it be wild if one of these protocols did a 10,000x before one of Richard's protocols? Would that be wild? I'm not saying it's going to happen, because you get the maxis who just are like crying right now, probably screaming. But if that happened, how does that make the community feel? People's feelings get hurt because people are making mad money, but it's just not with the name that they thought they were going to be with. I'm just curious how people feel about that.
I think that, first of all, I'm going to say hi to Valley Brand. You are appreciated, sir, and your family is appreciated. Your brother's working hard. I appreciate you being here, and the financial support is always appreciated. So thank you so much. I agree, anything is possible. Now, to what you just said, very interesting. If a protocol built on top of Pulse is able to achieve a 10,000x prior to layer 1 and outperforms the layer 1, I think, at least from my mind, obviously it's going to add a shitload of credibility to whoever's involved with that, which would further propel future endeavors if that's the prerogative of the people involved, right? But I do think that there's also going to be a lot of people who are so like, clenching their butt cheeks about like trying to say that like, oh, well, the only reason that happened is because of fucking Richard Hart, like because you guarantee there's a bunch of those fuckers out there, right?
Like if that ever happened, that's exactly what people would say. They would just turn it around into some sort of negative.
Yes, dude. This has been awesome. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who's taking the time out of their day to give us some attention, to listen to us, and to learn from Jesse. Hopefully, you got value out of the questions. I know I got value out of what Jesse was sharing. I appreciate you. I look forward to hearing the information from Liquid Bones and having you back on when you're ready to chat about the Gnosis safe version. It's probably going to be way better because I also have a lot of questions about that. Any last words you want to say before we jump off here?
No, thanks for having me on. Find me on Twitter, just ask Jesse. I try and put some educational content out there. Every now and then there's a little bit of spicy drama, not a whole lot, but it's really, I have that page to try and keep everybody in the loop what's going on and put a little bit of good education content out there.
I just shared Jesse's Twitter handle in the comments. Go over there. You can just click the link and follow him on Twitter. I also shared mine in the comments if you care to jump over there. I'm active daily, and I'm sure Jesse's active daily as well. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out, man. Appreciate you.
Cool. Thanks.
Later, bro.